The rules have just changed. Congress has passed new immigration regulations that will affect millions of green card holders across the United States. If you have a green card, are waiting for one, or know someone who does, what I'm about to tell you could mean the difference between maintaining your status and losing everything you've worked for. These changes are significant, they're immediate, and you can't afford to ignore them. Welcome to USD your most trusted source for accurate and timely information on immigration in the United States. I'm here today to break down the new immigration rules that Congress just passed and specifically how they impact green card holders. This isn't speculation. This isn't a rumor. These are confirmed changes that are already in effect or will be very soon. Stick with me until the end because I'm going to give you a clear action plan on what you need to do right now to protect your immigration status. Here at USD, we make sure you're never caught off guard by immigration changes. Let me start by giving you the big picture. Congress has passed a comprehensive immigration reform package that includes several provisions specifically targeting green card holders. The stated goal is to strengthen immigration enforcement, reduce fraud, and ensure that green card holders are complying with their obligations under U.S. law. While some of these changes are reasonable, others are creating serious concerns within the immigrant community. Let's go over each major change one by one so you understand exactly what's happening. Change number one, stricter physical presence requirements. This is arguably the biggest change and will affect the majority of people. Under the new rules, green card holders must maintain a more substantial physical presence in the United States. Previously, the general understanding was that you could travel abroad for up to 6 months at a time without jeopardizing your green card, and trips of less than 6 months were generally safe. Prolonged absences beyond 1 year would trigger abandonment concerns unless you had a re-entry permit. The new rules significantly tighten this. Green card holders must now be physically present in the United States for at least 6 months of every 12-month period. This means that if you spend more than 6 months a year outside the United States, you risk being determined to have abandoned your permanent residence, but it gets more complex. The rule also examines a rolling 3-year period. If you spend more than 18 months outside the United States in any 3-year period, immigration officers may question whether you truly intend to live permanently in America. What does this mean in practice? If you frequently travel for work, have family obligations abroad, or maintain a home in another country, you should be very careful. Keep detailed records of all your trips. Save boarding passes, passport stamps, hotel receipts, anything that proves when you entered and left the United States. If you are planning an extended trip abroad, you may need to apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. This permit allows you to remain outside the United States for up to 2 years without abandoning your green card, but you must apply for it while you are physically in the United States. Change number two, mandatory biometric updates. All green card holders will now be required to update their biometrics with USCIS every 5 years. Biometrics means fingerprints, photographs, and signatures. Previously, this was only required when you renewed your green card every 10 years. Now it's every 5 years. Regardless of whether your card needs renewal, you will receive a notice from USCIS directing you to appear at an application support center for your biometrics appointment. You must attend this appointment. If you miss it without good cause, your green card may be revoked. Yes, revoked. This is not a minor administrative matter. The government can terminate your permanent resident status if you fail to meet the biometric requirements. If you have moved and haven't updated your address with USCIS, you might not receive the notice. That's why it's absolutely critical to keep your address up to date by using Form AR within 10 days of moving. Change number three, enhanced background checks. Green card holders will now be subject to ongoing criminal background checks. This isn't just when you apply for citizenship, it's continuous monitoring. If you're arrested for any crime, even a misdemeanor, you'll be automatically notified through data sharing between law enforcement agencies and immigration databases. Certain crimes can lead to deportation, even if you're a green card holder. These include crimes involving moral turpitude, aggravated felonies, domestic violence, drug offenses, and firearm violations. Under the new rules, the threshold for what triggers removal proceedings has been lowered. Minor offenses that might have previously been overlooked are now being examined more closely. If you have a criminal record, even if it's old or has been spurned, you need to consult with an immigration attorney immediately to understand your risk. Change number 4, tax compliance verification. This is a big one. Green card holders must now prove they are filing U.S. tax returns and paying taxes. The AURE and USCIS are now sharing information more extensively. When you apply to renew your green card or when you apply for citizenship, you will be required to submit tax transcripts for the past 5 years, showing that you filed returns and paid what you owed. If you haven't been filing your taxes, this is a serious problem. As a green card holder, you are required to file U.S. income tax returns on your worldwide income every year, even if you are living abroad. Failure to file can result not only in tax penalties, but also in immigration consequences, including denial of citizenship and potential removal proceedings. If you are behind on your taxes, work with a tax professional immediately to become compliant. The U.S. Internal Revenue Service, USCIS, has programs for people who haven't been filing. It's better to fix this proactively than to wait until USCIS finds out. Change number 5, public charge considerations for green card holders. The public charge rule traditionally applied to people applying for green cards, but the new regulations extend it to existing green card holders as well. If you are receiving certain public benefits such as cash assistance, SNAP food stamps, or Mercare, except for emergency services or subsidized housing, this can now be considered when you apply for citizenship or if there is any reason why your status is being considered. This does not mean you will automatically lose your green card if you use public benefits, but it can be used against you. The government can argue that you are likely to become primarily dependent on the government for support. If you are using public benefits, document why. If it is due to temporary unemployment, a medical emergency, or other circumstances beyond your control, gather evidence showing this. If you can demonstrate that you are taking steps to become self-sufficient, that helps. Change number 6, expanded grounds for deportation. 4, Congress has added new categories of offenses and grounds. These include material support of terrorism, even if you did not know the organization was designated as terrorist, falsely claiming U.S. citizenship, even if made in error, and voting in federal elections if you are not a citizen, even if you thought you were eligible. These are hard rules with no exceptions for good faith mistakes. Be very careful with any form you fill out. If there is a question about citizenship, answer truthfully. Do not check a box saying you are a U.S. citizen when you are only a green card holder. This happens more often than you think, especially on voter registration forms. Some states automatically send voter registration forms to everyone who gets a driver's license, and people check boxes without reading carefully. An incorrect check can result in deportation. Change number 7, changes to the citizenship interview. When green card holders apply for naturalization, the citizenship interview process has expanded significantly. The civics test now includes 100 questions instead of the previous 100, but the test is more difficult with more complex questions about U.S. history and government. The English language requirements are also stricter with less leniency for older applicants or those with disabilities. In addition, the interview now includes detailed questions about your entire time as a green card holder. They will ask about your travel, employment, tax filings, family relationships, and any interactions with law enforcement. They are looking for inconsistencies between what you say and what is in their records. Be prepared. Bring documents proving everything in your application. Don't guess or estimate. If you don't remember something, say you don't remember instead of making something up. Change number 8, expedited removal for certain offenses. Previously, if you were a green card holder charged with deportability, you had the right to a hearing before an immigration judge where you could present your case and potentially request relief. The new rules allow for expedited removal in certain circumstances, meaning you can be deported quickly without a full hearing. This applies to green card holders convicted of aggravated felonies or who are considered threats to national security. If you fall into one of these categories, you have very limited rights. You cannot apply for most forms of relief from deportation. You cannot appeal to a higher court in most cases. The decision is made quickly and carried out quickly. This is why it is so critical to avoid any criminal involvement whatsoever. Change number 9, limitations on re-entry permits. If you need to travel outside the United States for an extended period, you can apply for a re-entry permit. Previously, you could obtain a re-entry permit valid for 2 years and apply for another one after returning. The new rules limit you to one re-entry permit per 5-year period. If you are someone who needs to travel frequently for extended periods, this creates a problem. You may need to reconsider whether keeping your green card is feasible given your travel needs. Change number 10, Social Security verification. The U.S. is now cross-checking green card holders' information with Social Security Administration records. They are looking for green card holders who are not working legally or who are not paying Social Security taxes. If you are working under the table or using a fake Social Security number, this will be discovered. The consequences include deportation and criminal prosecution for fraud. Now let's talk about what you should do to protect yourself. First, if you travel, keep meticulous records. Create a spreadsheet for every trip you take. Note the date you left, the date you returned, and the purpose of the trip. Keep all travel documents. If immigration ever questions your physical presence, you'll have proof. Second, make sure your address is always up to date with USCIS. File Form AARON online or by mail every time you move. It takes 5 minutes and can save your green card. If USCIS sends you important notices and you don't receive them because your address is incorrect, you'll miss deadlines and face consequences. Third, file your taxes every year even if you don't owe any money, even if you're living abroad, even if you have no income. Keep copies of your returns and tax transcripts. You'll need them when you apply for citizenship. Fourth, attend all USCIS appointments. If you receive a notice for biometrics or an interview, go. If you absolutely cannot attend, submit a request to reschedule immediately with a valid reason and documentation. Don't just skip it. Fifth, avoid any criminal activity. Avoid any criminal. This may seem obvious, but it bears repeating. Even minor offenses can have immigration consequences. Don't drive under the influence. Don't get into fights. Don't use drugs. Don't shoplift. Don't commit fraud of any kind. Any arrest can trigger immigration problems. Sixth, if you are charged with a crime, get both a criminal lawyer and an immigration lawyer. They need to work together. Sometimes a plea deal that seems good from a criminal standpoint is terrible for immigration. Seventh, don't lie on any immigration form or in any immigration interview. If you made a mistake on a previous application, correct it as soon as possible. Immigration may forgive honest mistakes and corrects them promptly. They cannot forgive fraud. A lie can result in permanent inadmissibility to the United States. Eighth, if you are using public benefits, document why and keep evidence that you are working towards self-sufficiency. If you lost your job, show that you are actively looking for work. If you are sick, show that you are receiving treatment and plan to return to work when you can. Ninth, maintain ties to the United States. Have a U.S. bank account. Maintain a U.S. driver's license. File U.S. taxes. Own or rent a home in the United States. Bring family to the United States. These things show that you genuinely intend to live here permanently. 10th, consider applying for citizenship. Once you are a U.S. citizen, most of these rules no longer apply. You cannot be deported, except in extremely rare cases of citizenship fraud. You can travel freely without worrying about physical presence requirements. If you have held a green card for 5 years, or if you are married to a U.S. citizen and meet the other requirements, apply for citizenship. It is the best protection. Let me address some common questions. Can these rules be challenged in court? Yes, and there are already lawsuits filed by immigration advocacy organizations. However, until a court blocks these rules, they are in effect, and you must comply. Don't wait for a court decision. Protect yourself. Now, are there any exceptions to these rules? Very few. The rules apply to nearly all green card holders, regardless of how they obtained their status. Whether you got your green card through family, employment, asylum, or the diversity visa lottery, these rules affect you. What if I already violated one of these rules before they went into effect? That's a complex question that depends on the specific situation. Generally, if you did something before the rule changed, you can't be penalized under the new rule. But if your violation is ongoing, such as failing to file taxes, you need to fix it immediately. Can I lose my green card even if I didn't do anything wrong? Unfortunately, yes. If you don't comply with these new requirements, for example, if you don't update your biometrics when required, you can lose your status even if you didn't commit a crime or fraud. The political context matters here. These rules passed Congress with bipartisan support, which is rare for immigration legislation. Both parties agree that green card holders must be held to higher standards of compliance with U.S. laws. However, Immigrant advocacy groups are deeply concerned that these rules are too harsh and will result in many long term residents losing their status for minor issues. There is also concern about the disproportionate impact. These rules will disproportionately affect certain communities. Green card holders from countries with mandatory military service may have to choose between keeping their green card and fulfilling obligations in their home country. Green card holders with elderly parents abroad may have difficulty meeting physical presence requirements while caring for family. Low income green card holders may face difficulties obtaining legal representation when problems arise. Looking ahead, there are discussions about even more changes to come. Some members of Congress want to make green cards conditional, requiring renewal every few years with proof of continued eligibility. Others want to increase the fees for green card applications and renewals. Some want to limit the types of crimes for which you can get waivers. The immigration landscape is changing rapidly, and green card holders need to stay informed. What about green card holders who are elderly or have disabilities? There are some accommodations for biometrics appointments. If you cannot travel due to medical reasons, you can request a waiver or ask USCIS to come to you under limited circumstances. For the citizenship test, there are extensions for older applicants and those with disabilities, although these extensions have been reduced under the new rules. If you have special circumstances, consult with an immigration attorney about what accommodations might be available. More critically, be very wary of immigration scams. Whenever there are major immigration changes, scammers appear promising to help you comply with the new rules for a fee. They may offer bogus services, charge exorbitant fees for simple forms, or give bad advice. Only work with licensed immigration attorneys or accredited representatives recognized by the Department of Justice. Verify credentials before paying anyone. In conclusion, these new immigration rules represent a significant shift in how the U.S. government views and treats green card holders. The era of obtaining a green card and then not giving much thought to your immigration status is over. Green card holders now have ongoing obligations and face continuous scrutiny. This isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're following the rules, but you need to be aware and compliant. The risks are too high to be careless. Thank you so much for watching USD. I hope this video gave you a comprehensive understanding of the new immigration rules affecting green card holders and what you need to do to protect yourself. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to USDCD and turn on notifications. Immigration law changes rapidly, and we're here to keep you informed every step of the way. Please share this video with any green card holders you know. This information could literally save someone's immigration status. Leave a comment below with your questions or concerns about these new rules. We read every comment and try to respond to as many as possible. Remember, at USD, we're committed to empowering you with the knowledge you need to successfully navigate the complex U.S. immigration system. Until next time, stay informed, stay compliant, and protect your status.